Hello and welcome to today's episode. Yes, I still have this mustache for Movember, and in today's episode we are finally going to get the answers as to which Watts link is the best for your build. All right guys, stay tuned. Okay, so if some of you have been following my channel for a while, you guys know that I did have this Whiteline Watts link on the car when I purchased the car from the dealer. Now, I've had it on the car for quite some time, and I actually have had a good understanding of how this one functions and the pros and cons to this particular Watts link. But what I did decide to do when I did my build was I decided to switch it over for a Cortex Watts link. Now you're gonna be asking yourself, why would you do that? Well, in today's episode, I'm gonna go over all the details between the two and help you guys decide which one's better. I am gonna say this one key thing. They are, in my opinion, for different applications, and I'll explain why I made the switch, and perhaps maybe this unit will be perfect for your build, or maybe you want to go with the Cortex like I did. All right, first I'm going to start off with the Whiteline unit, and we'll go over that unit, then we'll get underneath the car, and I'll explain to you guys with the Cortex unit and the differences in my opinion. All right, let's get started. So when you're looking at the Whiteline unit, and keep in mind this one was on my car for quite some time, I did clean it up. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is going to be the style of the connections, the bushings. So on the Whiteline unit, they do their proprietary bushings. They are like a polymer style bushing. They do them in all of the connection points that connect and swivel. So the pros and cons to this unit is obviously it's a Watts link. You're still gonna get all the benefits of that. You're gonna get less noise with these bushings, and you're gonna get a little bit of deflection in the trade-off of that. That's fine if it's gonna be a street car. This, in my opinion, is a perfect Watts link for any of you guys out there that are street guys. The car's primarily driven on the street. You're not really a hardcore track enthusiast. You're not doing a lot of track days, maybe a couple autocross, something like that. But one of your biggest concerns is noise. If you are feeling that noise is gonna be a challenge for you, this is probably the one for you guys. Now, some of the other things that this unit does come with is it does have the ability to make some adjustments in height, but it's only 2 positions. So you see where this one's currently connected, you can kind of see another one right there. So you can raise the roll center of the Watts link on the vehicle depending on where you feel you need it. If the car's not turning in as nicely as you need, you can start to make these adjustments to try and play with that. Now, it does come with one thing on this, but it's a bit of a challenge. If you have a GT500, like my buddy does, who we're trying to put this in for, it does have the connections for the factory diff cooler. The biggest challenge that it doesn't have is it does not have the connection for the temperature sensor. Now that's really important because on those particular cars, the pump doesn't activate until it reaches a certain temperature. Now I called Whiteline and I asked them how they thought we could solve this. They said, oh, just leave it disconnected. And I said, well, that means the pump's never going to turn on, so you're kind of defeating the purpose of having a differential cooler. So we've had to kind of come up with a way with fittings and lines to put a T adapter on here and put the sensor in line here. Now when we go to do the installation on his car, I'll probably do a video on that showing you guys all the bits and pieces, but we don't have them all here yet right now, so I don't have everything to show you guys. But in a nutshell, when it comes to like build quality, they're both built really well. Construction on these guys, all the welds are really good on the Whiteline piece. No complaints there. But if I have to pick between the two, I am going to give an edge to the Cortex on overall build quality. I just think it is built a little bit nicer. You know, everything's powder coated, which is great on this one. This was on my car for 30,000 kilometers, so 20-something thousand miles for American guys. And I mean, it held up well. It went through a couple winters, you know, so you got a little bit of surface rust on some of the points here, but that's fine. I mean, overall, it seems to be in still great shape. Capacity for the differential itself, I think, is about the same. I didn't really see this as adding anything over top of what was originally on my car. With the Cortex unit, I know it does add a little bit more, so there's one advantage to that. But that's that guy. So again, before I switch over to the Cortex unit, I still think this is an awesome piece for any street guys. It's not loud at all. I didn't hear anything out of this unit. I still had Whiteline lower and upper control arms, so I kind of had a complete Whiteline setup in the car. I still have some of those pieces on the car still. They'll slowly get transitioned over to some Cortex stuff. But as far as vehicle noise, it was great. Definitely, you know, stiffer than a panhead bar. You felt the immediate turn in right away. So I was really happy with that. So now I'm gonna cut and we're gonna go underneath the car and I'm gonna show you guys the Cortex unit. Okay guys, we're underneath my car now with the Cortex piece, the piece that I ultimately went for, and I'm gonna explain to you guys why I chose to do this one. Now, right out of the gate, as you can see, it's a little bit different, but all of the connection points are now spherical connection points. No bushings on this car whatsoever. What this means is you are now going to get a little bit more noise. It's not that bad, in my opinion. I can barely hear it. I have to have the windows down and be paying attention to hear it. But yeah, these could potentially squeak a little bit more. The advantage to that is you now have zero deflection. So I noticed turn-in response is immediate now. You have no sense of play or anything like that in the rear end. It just feels a lot more solid. It's also kind of a little bit lighter of a setup compared to the other one. The arms are a little bit lighter. They don't have the rubber bushings, all that type of stuff. But when it comes to adjustments, like I mentioned on the Whiteline unit, you only had 2 adjustment settings on this one. You now have 4 on the Cortex. Lowest, these 2 are the middle ones, and then there's a high point. Generally, most people kind of play between these 2. I haven't really heard of anyone going that far down or that high up. If anyone is, let me know in the comments, but as far as I've heard, it's mostly been these 2, maybe the top one. I've had this set at this setting. I might play with this and change it, but for now, I'm pretty happy with where it's at. The build quality on the differential cover itself, I think, is exceptional. It's really well done. So I'm quite happy with that. All these guys are like stainless, so I don't think I'm gonna have any corrosion issues with that. On the bottom here, we do have a drain plug. We also have a fill at the top, which most people fill on the differential on the other side, but you do have this. And the other advantage, in my opinion, to this guy as well, is you actually have 2 connection points on the side for differential cooler lines. So you can put different lines there, or you can do a fill line here and the extraction line down there. And this guy right here was the other reason I like this one. Cortex has a differential breather catch can. Now, this is extremely important for any of you guys that actually track your cars. If you crawl underneath any Mustang, you will see up in the top here a little check valve, and this is a breather valve for the axle tube. When you start to get a lot of heat, a lot of pressure, differential fluid starts to weep from this. That can weep down and start to drip down across on your axle tube, and heaven forbid, start to get anywhere close to your wheels and tires. It's not just a safety issue for you, but it's also a safety issue for anyone else on the track for you. So Cortex has this beautiful little catch can with pre-drilled mounting positions right here for it, so you can mount it directly to the differential cover, and then you run the line with a fitting to that location on the diff. You're now catching all that fluid in this catch can, little drain here, drain off, and I can tell you guys, I have had maybe about 1/4 of an ounce, maybe half an ounce inside this one after about 4 track day events. So it does work, it does catch the fluid. Again, you know, their connection points, they include their brackets, which are a little bit different on this unit compared to the Whiteline. The Whiteline uses a factory connection point there, and then it does a drop bracket on the driver's side, whereas this guy, they include 2 brackets, the pair of arms. Like I said, everything's all on these bearing points, which I really like. And I've actually added a differential temperature sensor up at the top corner, so that it does have another mounting position for a temp sensor. So I've got that connected, just so I can get an understanding if I myself need to run a diff cooler down the road. I wanted to have that temperature sensor on there so I could kind of get a reading as to what the temperatures have been like on my differential. So again, I think the 2 different Watts links are for 2 different type of people. If you're considering doing a lot of track day events, you're getting more serious into autocross, anything like that, I think the Cortex is the clear winner in that area. I think it's a better unit. It's built a little bit better. They're priced right about the same, but at the end of the day, you've got more features with this unit. You've got the ability to add the catch can. You've got more connection points for coolers, temperature sensors, things like that. You have more adjustability on the actual roll center points on the Whiteline, or on the Cortex WattsLink. Sorry guys. So that's why I chose to go this way. I wanted to have more options for myself down the road as I continue to upgrade everything else in the car. So I hope this one has definitely helped you guys out. I know that when I did my research, I couldn't find anyone making a video on this explaining the differences. So I just had to go ahead and do it. And you guys are now getting the benefit of seeing the differences firsthand. All right, guys, thanks for watching this one. We'll see you guys next week.